Hello everyone, how is your day going? I hope everyone's having a great time today, and welcome back into a new video. In which this case, we're back with another tier list video, but this time, 3D Mario. We all know the 3D Mario games. They're all super fun, super charismatic, lots of great OST, and in anything, we're still waiting for a new one, 8 years later. But yeah, since we're all excited for the next 3D Mario game, whenever it happens, you know, I decided it was a good idea to try my best to see which one of these games I consider the best one, and which one I consider the weakest one. I don't say worst because, well, I don't think any of these games are bad. Like, matter of fact, I think all of these are good. But one of them is gonna end up with the last spot, and one of them needs to be crowned as the best one out there. Like, will it be 64? Will it be one of the Galaxy games? Will it be Odyssey? I don't know. I've always had the doubt of, bro, I love 3D Mario games, but which one could I consider my favorite? Like, for a while I thought that maybe Odyssey was the one that I enjoyed the most, but then on another season I feel like Galaxy 1 is the one that I enjoyed the most, or even Galaxy 2, which is also a banger. But anyways, we're here in this page with all 3D Mario games, even BowsersFury, because yes, even though people say that BowsersFury shouldn't count because, well, it's not a full game compared to, for example, 3D World. But hey, considering it's a different experience, because, you know, it's an expansion that came alongside the remastered version of 3D World, I think it's good that we consider into the list, even if it's not an official full 3D Mario game. So with that said, before we get started, I just want to say, this is just my personal POV, and you're free to leave yours in the comments. I'll be reading you down below with your own opinions, which Mario game you consider the best one, and which one you consider it the weakest one. And while you're at it, if you enjoyed this content, I would really appreciate if you leave a like and consider subscribing for more like these. That said, let's get started on the video. So, starting on with Super Mario 64. Oh boy, what can we say about 64 that hasn't been said already? I mean, I guess outside of maybe the camera that hasn't aged too well, the game is a banger. All of the levels are pretty memorable. Like, if I had to point out a level that I don't really enjoy, would probably be maybe Dire Dogs, because, well, water. But other than that, I mean, there's a lot of banger levels out there. You got the iconic Bob-omb Battlefield, One Fortress, Cool Mountain. You also got Lethal Lava Land, Hazy Maze Cave. There's also Jolly Roger Bay, which, even though it is a water level, I think it's much better than the other ones that come later on. There's also Tiny Huge Island, Total Mountain. Like, there's a lot of banger levels out there. It is true, some people may not enjoy some levels like, for example, Rainbow Ride or even TikTok Clock, because, well, they're the hardest levels in the game. But honestly, I personally like the challenge that they bring. Control-wise, it's still very good. For being the first 3D Mario game, they really nailed on the controls. Like, for the most part, the control's great. Again, aside from the camera, that maybe sometimes it could annoy you in some levels, I don't think the camera is that bad, if I'm being honest with you. And up to this date, people still play Mario 64 a lot, like whether it's on casual playthroughs or even on speedruns. Like, I myself attempted a speedrun for the first time this year, and honestly, the end result was actually pretty nice, if you ask me. But yeah, for the most part, I don't really have any gripes with Mario 64. I mean, even though I don't have any nostalgic bias towards it, I still think it's a very good game. And again, without 64, none of the others would exist up to this date. Visually, it's awesome. The music, oh my gosh, bro. The music, like, for any new people around here, if you don't know me, one of my favorite aspects in any video game will always be the music. And 64 definitely has a banger OST. But again, outside of the minor gripes with, like, you know, maybe the camera, some of the unfair levels, some of the in and outs that might be a bit unnecessary, for being the first 3D Mario game and for the revolution that I put up, just like, for example, Ocarina of Time before, I personally think that 64, I'm debating between A or S, because again, like, 64 was really good for when it came out. Like, you know what? Nah, for what it did, I think it deserves an S tier. Now, as for 64DS, it's basically my same things that I said about OG64, with the upgrades that there are even more stars to collect, there's additional power-ups for the game, and you also get more playable characters like Luigi, Wario, or Yoshi. However, the biggest gripe that I have with it is that visually it is kind of downgraded. I mean, if you look at it from a original hardware or the Wii U Virtual Console, it looks, yeah. And the controls, like, like, even though the controls are the same as, for example, OG64, I don't understand why you have to hold a button to run with the characters. The camera, they made it worse, and controlling it with the D-pad is much rougher than using the control stick. It is true that if you play on, like, I don't know, your 3DS or another media that I'm not going to talk about, maybe the experience could be a bit better, but control-wise, a very big downgrade from the original. I'm not saying this is a bad version. If you wanna experiment something new, you should give it a try. But for the most part, I think 64DS might get a B. Again, even though this was my first version of 64, because yes, I actually met 64 thanks to this version, and I really enjoy it. Like, you know, it's not a bad game. It's a very good way to play the game. But again, if the gameplay was just much better, with like the camera, the movement, and maybe if we added like, I don't know, maybe an extra 1 or 2 levels that were, you know, like, worthy of the remake, maybe could have also been S tier, but personally, I think 64DS might stick to the B tier. And before we continue, there's a little correction I want to do regarding my tier list on the MarioGalaxyMovie character tier list, because this is how the final result came in. I want to make a little modification. It's that Toad usually ended up being in the B tier, but after rewatching the movie again and basically thinking it over, because basically creating these tier lists is not easy. Toad, I'm gonna drag it back to where I put it at the start, which is on C-, basically backwards towards Rosalina. And Wart, I think, again, after doing a lot of thinking and considering he's the only one that basically, you know, has more dialogues, has a bit more presence, but that this story arc that was not concluded, yeah, I think I'm gonna put him in the D section, but above Kamek, because, well, I do consider it was a bit better than Kamek, but still, like, not as great to be, like, on the C tier as well. Anyways, back to the game tier list. Let's move on to the next game. Oh, goodness. I think we might hop on to our first controversial pick, because Super Mario Sunshine is up on the list. And I don't care what anyone says, Sunshine is A tier. Like, I actually love Sunshine. It was one of the first Mario games that I played, like, after the Galaxies or, like, you know, Mario Kart Wii. And even though that it has its issues, for example, the controls can be janky. Yes, collecting all 240 blue coins is a pain, and I agree with that, actually. It is true that the main theme of the game being whole with, you know, like, an island theme, like, not many creativity on the levels that some people say is, like, not so good for them. But in my personal defense, that is the theme of the game. It is true in other games you may find, like, you know, fields, deserts, like underwater themes, lava or whatsoever. But even though this game is mostly based on like water, islands, and whatsoever, I still think the theme is basically well. And if anything, it was the introduction of one of the most iconic characters in the whole gaming, Bowser Jr. And I also kind of like the story of this game. Yes, it is true that it's the same, you know, basically same basis ever. Peach gets kidnapped, and we gotta save her from Bowser and Bowser Jr., who's a new character. But I also like how the game starts, like in the airport, like, you know, you got this whole goo issue. Mario freaking goes to prison because he forgot to pay his taxes. And then you see Shadow Mario when you see him for the first time. It's like, oh my god, who the heck is this new Mario character? And then the reveal for Bowser Jr., like, oh, I love it. Like, I actually love it. Even though, again, the story base is the same, I do like the extra ads, like, for example, you know, the introduction of Junior or the fact that we basically start in jail. It's just a different take compared to, like, other Mario games where the base is simply the same as always, you know. Again, the game can be janky, but even jankiness can be fun. Even with jankiness, the controls are not too bad. It is true they're not as polished as, for example, other games like Odyssey or the Galaxies or even 64. But I mean, for the most part, the controls are not bad. Like, I think they're pretty stable for the most part. You got the spin jump, you got the diving animation, you also got Flood, which is one of the best mechanics in the whole game, with the different nozzles such as the hover nozzle, the turbo. And again, just like 64, Sunshine is still a game that is still very played much to this day, whether it's on casual playthroughs or even on speedruns, because when it comes to speedruns, Sunshine is definitely up there when it comes to the games that are oftenly speedrun, you know? But yeah, I also love the level variety, you know? Like, there's a lot of variety. You got Bianco Hills, Rico Harbor, Pina Park, Gelato Beach, the Pianta Village. Maybe if you had an extra level, because, you know, that's another thing I think it's kind of a few levels when you compare, for example, to other games. Like, the amount of levels in the game are not as many as other games. For example, I think in this game there's like maybe 7 worlds. Not to mention the fact that as well that the main objective of the game is like, you know, basically beat Shadow Mario in every single mission, which is a cool thing, you know, I like it. But again, if it had some more extra levels, then maybe the whole level thing maybe could be a bit better. I mean, we already got Mario clips for that. And also, once again, just like any Mario game, the music, fantastic. Like, you know, you got banger themes like Delfino Plaza, you got Bianco Hills, Rico Harbor's OST. Like, for the most part, the OST is really well made, and I really like it a lot. Not to mention the jamming when it comes to the secret levels, in which Shadow Mario takes fall away from you, and then you get to the hidden levels, and then you start to hear the... Like, every time, it's a jam. Like, I love it every single time, bro. But yeah, for the most part, I think Sunshine might stay in the A tier. Like, if I had the chance, I would probably put it a bit higher, but I think A is good for Sunshine. And I also consider it better than 64DS. Because, again, gameplay-wise, it's actually good. And the camera is also not bad either. Again, if anything, I think the only annoyances you could get with, like, the camera would be, like, at the hotel. Like, in the hotel sessions. But again, the controls, I think, are perfectly fine. Levels, I love it. Music, I love it. Shadow Mario, love it. Bowser Jr., I love it. Like, if anything, Sunshine, great game. I like it. Oh, baby. I think this one needs no introduction. Galaxy all the way into the S section. Oh boy! At this rate, we all know what Galaxy has to offer. Banger level design, banger music, banger theme in space. Really good controls, because really, even though it uses, like, you know, the motion controls and anything, I personally vibe with the controls in Galaxy. Whether it's the original on the Wii, or any of the remastered ports for the Switch, you know, whether it's on 3D All-Stars, or the separate remastered port that they launched last year to promote the Galaxy movie. For the most part, Galaxy really goes very well. I love the space theme that this game has. And there's a lot of banger levels too, like, you know, Good Galaxy, Space Junk Galaxy, Battle Rock Galaxy, Freeze Flame, Gusty Garden, and many, many more. The only level I don't really vibe with would be the one in the 5th level of the game. I don't remember the full name of the galaxy. I think it's called Sea Glide. Because again, this galaxy is like, the first 2 stars are okay with, like, you know, the penguin race and following the orca, but then the silver star mission combined with the purple coin mission, as somebody once said, too big, too long. But other than that level, I think the rest are mainly from okay to basically bangers out there. The music, I love it. If anything, I think the Galaxy games, both Galaxy 1 and 2, have the best OST in the 3D series. Like, I love the OST. Every now and then, I always listen to some of the bangers. Again, Gusty, Battle Rock, Good Galaxy. So many bangers out there that are basically, you know, very listenable every single time. And well, when it comes to the story, I know many people used to praise this aspect of the game because, you know, basically compared to some of the other Mario games, one that has more in-depth with the story, mainly because, well, you know, it has the introduction to Rosalina, which would be one of the most iconic characters in all of Nintendo, and that unfortunately would be wasted in the Galaxy movie. And her backstory is awesome as well. Like, that section of the game, that small portion where you read her backstory and watch everything, like, very good. Even though nowadays I think Miyamoto wants to make some stuff of the movie canon, I feel like that's a separate thing that mainly, you know, revolves around Galaxy 2, mainly on the remastered version, because, well, that's where they updated the game with a new page over there. Which, speaking of remasters, they also added a new page for Galaxy 1 with Rosa basically saying goodnight to the Lumas, which I think is very nice. And also the ending with, like, you know, the Luma's sacrifice, saving everyone from the huge black hole. Like, those are very, you know, big and memorable moments, but other than that, I think the story is pretty simple. I mean, again, the base is the same. Save Peach from Bowser, go through different levels, collect a certain amount of stars, and then we go to Bowser in one of the best climaxes in the whole series, and boom, we save the princess. The Luma sacrifice themselves to save us, which is the, you know, the biggest thing into this, alongside Rosalina, and that's it. Again, story's not bad, of course, like, you know, basically, you know, it has the death with Rosalina and everything, and that's a very plus. That's why Galaxy, you know, is still considered like the one with the best story yet, even though, again, the base is pretty much the same. But anyways, I've said what I said. But again, just like the previous games, I don't really have any major gripes with this one. Like I said, if there's something that I had to point out that I don't really like, is that, well, you know, that level of the beach, like Sea Light Galaxy, I think it's called, like, that one to me is the worst level in the game. Maybe also some of the missions with the motion controls could not be, you know, very likable to everyone in general. Like, maybe some of these are not very well made. For example, the ones with the bubble, or maybe the freaking surfing with the freaking manta ray, or the balancing ball in some of these, which, while I don't mind them, like, you know, I can basically vibe with them. If anything, I think the one with pulling Mario from the freaking whitey thingy, I think it's worse than the bubble and the balancing one. I do get if some people don't really vibe with them. But yeah, for the most part, Galaxy goes into the S tier. I don't know if I should put it on top of 64, but personally, I find myself replaying Galaxy more than 64. Like, I love 64, don't get me wrong, I love 64, but I think Galaxy has given me so much more that I think it's gonna go over 64. Even though they're both bangers, but I think 64 goes for now in the second spot. Another thing I want to mention is that 100% in Galaxy 1 is very not so worthy of a reward because, you know, you get 120 stars with Mario, then you unlock Luigi, you get to play as Luigi, it's so cool. You get 120 with Luigi, and then you get the grand finale Galaxy, which... Listen, as a final level, it's not the worst one. I think it's just okay. But when it comes to rewards for 100% in Mario, I feel like it could have been done a bit better, but hey, we'll get Galaxy 2 for that. Same applies for Sunshine. Like, if 100%ing Sunshine would be, you know, a fun time, I would probably put it a bit higher, but then remember that the blue coins exist, and I immediately go back forward and leave it where it is. Where on the contrary, 100% in 64, I think it's pretty okay. Maybe 100 coins sometimes, you know, can be a little bit annoying, especially when it tends to be a bit longer towards the, you know, last couple of levels. That gets to be a bit annoying. But in general, I enjoy 100% 64. But yeah, I think for the rest, I think Galaxy will stay here. Alrighty, next up, from one banger, we go into another. There can be one without two. Mario Galaxy 2 grabs everything that Mario Galaxy 1 did great and multiplies it by 10. More levels, more stars, the homie Yosh. Yes. The homie Yosh! Once again, more banger OSTs. Pulse Plank, play in the background right now. There's also more power-ups to use. Like, basically, anything that Galaxy 1 does well, Galaxy 2 also does it really well. Like, I personally would put Galaxy 2 on par with Galaxy 1, and even though there could be some reused asset, because, you know, this is nothing new by Nintendo. I also love that you can play as Luigi, like, you know, in the same save file. Like, you no need to basically, you know, have a separate game just for Luigi exclusively. And for the most part, the variety in the comments are also as good as Galaxy 1. Like, you know, you got the purple coins, you got the hurry up, or basically, you know, the speedrun comments. You also got the 1 HP comments, which some of them can be, you know, kind of tense, but for the majority of the part, they're good. You got the Shadow Mario clones, or, sorry, let me rephrase that, Cosmic clones. But yeah, basically just as good as Galaxy 1, because Galaxy 1 has always a good variety in the comments. And again, even though it feels kind of, you know, bad that, you know, basically there's no continuity between the last game, because, you know, it's called Galaxy 2, but it just feels like it's another game. Like, it doesn't feel like a sequel to Mario Galaxy 1. Like, you know that feeling that we had when we watched the Galaxy movie, that we were like, bro, this is anything but a Galaxy movie. Well, that's sort of how I feel when it comes to Galaxy 2, because Galaxy 2 is fantastic, but more than a sequel, it's just like a new adventure. And this all comes relevant when you beat the game and you know that this entire game was a story that Rosa was telling to the Luma, so that I'm still not 100% sure if this adventure was real or not, but it was all a story. Similar to how Mario Bros 2 was all in Mario's dream. And then the Green Star thing, it is true, it can be quite long to collect them all. Some of them are good, some of them are a bit more annoying. And another thing that I don't really vibe with sometimes is the constant grinding. Like, you know, in order to do it all, like, you know, like I said, you gotta collect, like, all 240 stars, you know, combining 120 yellow with 120 green. Not only that, but once you unlock the Grandmaster Galaxy, you collect the Comet Medal and everything, you would think, oh, I got the Comet Medal. Now we can access the Comet of the level and fully 100% this game. Well, no, Nicholas. It turns out, also have to get 9,999 star bits. Why? I don't know why, but you have to do it in order to unlock the perfect run. And this kind of changed in the remastered version, because in the original version, you collect all 9999, and then you give it to this green toad, who then gets a new hitware, and then boom, Comet unlocked. Whereas in the remastered version, you get all 9999, and then as soon as you do, boom, Comet. Like, poor Green Toad got sacrificed for the goods. And then after that, you get the perfect run, and you get to play through it, and it's super fun and very challenging, and up there with some of the hardest levels of the whole game. Another thing I love is the difficulty in the game. Like, you know, I like the challenge that it brings you sometimes. Like, Galaxy 1 can be kind of challengeful sometimes, but I think this one is a bit harder, and I like that. But yeah, outside of the constant grinding, which, you know, it is kind of pointless, I don't know why it's there, I still think that Galaxy 2 is just as good as Galaxy 1. I still don't know if I like Galaxy 2 more or Galaxy 1 more, but I would put them at the same level, to be honest. Like, again, we recently replayed them on the channel, and again, like, I always vibe with these two. Like, I know some people prefer Galaxy 1 over Galaxy 2, and there's also the people who prefer Galaxy 2 over Galaxy 1, and they're both valid. They're both banger games, and again, it's basically kind of the same, only that Galaxy 2 basically implements a couple of new things. Oh my goodness, I kind of said it out loud. But yeah, Galaxy 2, you're gonna stay in the S tier. I think for now, Galaxy 1 will be at the top. Like, Galaxy 2 is still awesome, but I think Galaxy 1 for now will stay here. Like, I think I vibe a bit more with Galaxy 1. And besides, I think Galaxy 1 is the one that I replayed the most. Mainly because, you know, with the relaunches and everything. So, I need to replay Galaxy 2 more. But anyways, for now, these two, the peak of 3D Mario. Alongside Mario 64. Okay, next one, Mario 3D Land. Now, it's been a while since I've replayed 3D Land. Like, I think the last time I replayed it was... Basically, I remember I replayed it, like, I think back in 2023, back when I was trying to do a ride to Mario Wonder, making a little marathon playing the 3D Mario games. I might bring that back when the next 3D Mario game gets announced. Stay tuned for that. And well, 3D Land, for the most part, I think it's fun. I mean, the variety in the levels is good, the OST is still good, and for the most part, it just brings you a good time. I would say that maybe... I think this is the one that I have the most gripes with. I don't know why. I vibe with the game, okay? I vibe with it. I enjoy the levels. I enjoy playing through them. I enjoy some of the power-ups, even though I'm the one that always sticks with the freaking Tanuki leaf. I still vibe with the music, even though I feel like this is the music that I listen to the least compared to other games, for example. But hey, the OST is still good. I would say my gripes with this game is that, actually a few. Let me actually start listing. A, the game is way too easy. Like, honestly, outside of the extra level that you can unlock at the end, from the rest of it, the game is very easy. Like, not as easy as, for example, Mario Land 1, for example, but it's still probably the easiest 3D Mario game out there. 2, the 100% requirements to unlock the final level. Because here's what you need to do. You beat the entirety from World 1 to World 8 with Mario, getting the top of the flag and all of the medals out there. Then, once you do that, you unlock the special worlds. Alrighty, more fun to go. Let's do this. And then once you beat the first world, you unlock Luigi. Let's go. Luigi's the goal. We're gonna play as Luigi. All good. Then you beat all of the 8 special worlds. Again, same thing. Top of the flag, all of the medals, all good. But then it turns out, you need to beat all of the levels, both normal and special, with both Mario and Luigi. Not only that, but in every single level, you have to make sure that you don't die more than 5 times. Otherwise, this blocky will spawn, and your chance to play 100% will be gone. I don't know why this was a decision, but it was the last time that they did this, so I see that they learned their lesson. And C is that I don't find it as memorable as others, for example. Like, I hate to say it, but like, I find more memorable 64 or Sunshine or even the Galaxy games or even Odyssey or 3D World compared to 3D Land. Again, I'm not saying it's bad. I like 3D Land. Like, I would probably need to do a revisit, like, fully 100%ing it if I can, like, you know, playing every level with every character. But again, for the most part, I think 3D Land is just a good game. Like, it's not the best game out there, but hey, for 3DS, it's still good. Again, visually it also looks good, the music is still good, it makes some good use of the 3D thing that the 3DS has, even though I'm part of the people that barely use the freaking 3D thing. But yeah, I think 3D Land is okay. Like, I think it's a good game, I vibe with it. If you tell me, hey, you want to revisit Mario 3D Land, I would say, sure, why not? Because again, like, you can have fun with this game. So, I think 3D Land, I would put you maybe in the B tier below 64DS. Oh wait, that's another thing, the bosses. I was gonna say, some of the bosses are also like over there, you know. You got Boom Boom, which is a shame. You got Pom Pom, which is like Boom Boom, but, you know, one-up farmer. And then you got the fake Bowsers from Mario 1, which is, you know, nice that they brought them back, but other than that, there's not much variety in the bosses. Again, 3D World will grab everything and make it all better. But yeah, the bosses are pretty simple in the game. Even though I think the last battle with Bowser is, you know, pretty fun. Because again, instead of you fighting Bowser, it's just a sequence of, you know, you have to get to the top, basically avoid every obstacle. Like, I like the final boss. It's very good. And again, the music that is in the background, also good. But other than that, the bosses are pretty simple if you ask me. And again, if we consider the reputation that Boom Boom has, yeah, sorry fam, but bosses, kind of simple if you ask me. But yeah, with everything, I think 3D Land will probably stick to the B tier. It's not F tier and definitely not a D tier. I'm debating with C tier, but I feel like C tier means bad. That's not what I think of the game. I think the game is good and fun. So I think B is good for 3D Land. Alrighty, next one, Mario 3D World. Let my Spanish go in. As I said before, 3D World grabs everything that 3D Land did good and makes it better. And any bad stuff that it did, it fixes it. For example, the bosses, now there's more variety into it. Like, you know, you got the freaking Lizard King over there with his queen. You got the freaking clown guy that turns out into a big guy. B there or B squares. The Bowser fight's also very good. The level design is still very good and memorable. The OST is also a banger. Like, again, much better, much better. The power-up's also very good, even though, you know, Cat Mario can be kind of simple. I enjoy playing with Cat Mario. Tanuki is also good. Fire Flower is also good. The Boomerang is also pretty fun. And then the double clone, very good. Although for me, what's the strongest point of 3D World is the multiplayer. I swear, that's where the biggest fun times of the game come into action, because playing a game in multiplayer is always a fun time, secure, if you ask me. If I had to point out any gripe with this game, I would say that's similar to 3D Land. The 100% requirement is not my favorite thing, because again, beat every level and get the top of the flag, get every green star and every stamp. Okay, not bad. But then there's the catch that you gotta do it with every single character: Mario, Luigi, Peach, Toad, and Rosa. So the bright side is that there's not like a restriction of if you die a certain amount of times, you can no longer do this. So I feel like this one is more like a test of patience. If you have enough patience, it's not impossible. And again, if you do it in multiplayer, it's also very doable, so it's still an upgrade in my eyes. And the Captain Toad missions are also very fun to do. Like, I feel like it's kind of underrated because I know not many people vibe with the Captain Toad missions. And it is true, sometimes it can be a bit annoying that, you know, you're walking super slow, you cannot jump or anything. But hey, I don't think they're very bad. And again, once you beat the game, you got some extra special worlds, which again, much bigger than 3D Land. There's also a much bigger challenge compared to 3D Land, especially when it comes to the multiplayer. But also in levels such as Champions World, where, you know, now this one is another of the hardest levels out there in the Mario series. You also got Blessy, which is very fun. And yeah, for the most part, like I said, 3D World basically does everything better than 3D Land, and I vibe with it every single time. So 3D World, I think you are going to be going into the A tier. However, I think I might put you, and this might be biased, I think below Sunshine. I'm not sure if that's a hot take, because again, I know some people would probably prefer 3D World over Sunshine, but I don't know. There's just something about Sunshine that, I don't know, it's definitely up there. Again, that might be a hot take, but just so you know, I still like 3D World and Sunshine. I still like all of these. I said in the intro, I love all the 3D Mario games. I love them all, it's so good. Yes, even you 3D Land, you're also great. But yeah, in general, 3D World, A tier secured. Below Sunshine, but still a good A tier. Alrighty, and we got the final, full, official 3D game that has been released by the time of recording this video. Super Mario Odyssey! Wait, that was actually a bad impression. Mario Odyssey. Now, I've had a very difficult discussion when it comes to this game, because I love it, but I don't know if I consider it the best 3D Mario game. Like, it's an S tier, secure. Like, I'm gonna put it right here. It's an S tier, secure. But I know this is the point that opens the most amount of debate, because some people, when it comes to, for example, comparing Odyssey with Galaxy, some people are gonna be, oh no, Galaxy's overrated, and some other people are gonna be, oh no, Odyssey is overrated. Basically, this is the point where most arguments I'm going to open, so anything we can talk about either in the comments or in the Discord server, which, by the way, link in the description if you want to be part of the community. Yeah, I still love Odyssey. Again, the mechanic with the caps is very fun, you know, the amount of different things that you can actually capture with Cappy, which, by the way, it's a banger mechanic. I love Cappy. The different kingdoms with, you know, this type of open zone that you got with Mario is so good. Like, I don't think it's full open world, that's more for Bowser's Fury. But I would say it's more like an open zone, similar to like what Sonic Frontiers is, for example. The amount of kingdoms you guys insane. You got the Cascade Kingdom, you got the Metro Kingdom, aka New Donk City. You got Bowser's Kingdom, which is so cool. You got this freaking ruined place where you have to fight a freaking dragon that would make a cameo in the Galaxy movie. And the music, dear lord, the music. It's so so good. Again, at the level of any Mario game, it's so good. And the kingdoms are also very memorable too. One of them even basically, you know, making homage to all of Mario over there, basically with like the arcades and everything with DK. Bringing back Pauline was awesome. The amount of costumes you can get is very good, you know, lots of variety in there. And again, the amount of content that it has is insane. A bunch of moons to get, a bunch of kingdoms to visit, a bunch of things to actually try out. And then once you're all done, learn to speedrun, baby. Because any Mario game is very good for speedrunning. Like, for the most part, the bosses for the majority of the part are also good, you know, very memorable, very, you know, fun to fight against. One part that I want to highlight that is, like, probably one of my favorites is... Actually, two. I want to point out two things. The first one on Bowser's Kingdom, where you enter like that final act when you're about to get to the top and basically reach Bowser. You basically defeat the Brutos, open the door, and then you suddenly hear this freaking theme in the background. Like, gets chills down my spine. And the other part I want to point out is the beginning of the game. Like, that opening scene where you're fighting Bowser over there, like, it's very intense. Basically, you know, Bowser's all dominant over there. He throws the hat, he freaking jeets Mario for the assistance, and then stomps on the hat and freaking kills the hat. Like, dear lord, that was very shocking the first time you see it. The iconic hat that has followed you in every single adventure, getting destroyed at the beginning is actually insane. And again, I don't need to say anything about the story because again, it's very, you know, it's very Mario-like. But yeah, Odyssey has anything that you could ask for a 3D Mario game, and we are still waiting for the next adventure, almost 9 years later. Like, also control-wise, which is something I haven't said of the other games, control-wise, 3D Land, 3D World, and Odyssey have been bangers control-wise. The camera is also very good, if you ask me. Like, the amount of movement that you can do with the different moveset, like the backflip, the stomp jumping into the jump. The freaking 64 costume that you can get is also one of my favorite things. The Mushroom Kingdom, the very Mario 64 vibe that it gives you. And also the darker side of the moon is also another very difficult challenge that is also very fun to play on. But yeah, the issue is, I don't know if like, I would consider it better than the Galaxy games or if the Galaxy games are better. I think it's better than 64, because again, 64 was the, you know, the one to start it all, and Odyssey is the last one that we have up to this date, at least until Nintendo announces the next one. But again, I also don't really have any gripes with it, if I'm being honest. Maybe if I had to point something out, is that the 100% is not bad. Like, you know, I actually, you know, enjoy doing it. I could probably say that, again, you need lots of coins to buy all the costumes, especially the freaking skeleton guy that is 9999 coins. But then again, you got Luigi's Balloon World, you got freaking the darker side of the moon that gives you a big amount of coins. Collecting previous moons gives you coins. Basically, a lot of things will give you coins. Maybe another thing is that just like 3D Land, all this is pretty easy. Like, you know, there are some challengeful moons, but for the most part, you can pay this toad to give you a hint. So yeah, just like previous ones, this one's kinda easy, but again, easy doesn't mean bad. But yeah, this one's kinda difficult because I don't know if, despite that, if I consider it better or worse. Like, I think it's S tier, but I still don't know if I consider it better. I might need to do a revisit with these games, and then maybe one day come back to these and basically, you know, try to do another tier list to see if, like, my perspective has changed, maybe? Because, like, other than that, again, Odyssey is a banger. Odyssey is peak 3D Mario game, just like the Galaxy games and 64. Okay, I think for now, I'm probably going to leave it like this. Like, I think I will probably put Odyssey higher than Galaxy 2, because again, like, some people could say, oh, Galaxy is overrated because nostalgia and whatsoever, but I mean, hey, nostalgia guys, think about 64 as well, because I think 64 is the most nostalgic one in the whole thing. And yes, it's true, Galaxy could be nostalgia, but you know, with everything that it has to offer, but again, there's nothing wrong with the nostalgia, you know? But yeah, I think I would probably keep it like this. 64, Galaxy 2, I think I would probably keep it like this. 64, on second thought, yeah, Odyssey, and then Galaxy 2 and Galaxy 1. Like, I still don't think Galaxy 1 might be my top 1. Like, I feel like PBG sometimes, I change my opinions every week that I have. But yeah, when it comes to my favorite Mario games, I think the Galaxy ones are definitely up there. Like, I think they might be my favorite, especially Galaxy 1. Like, I think I can finally say Galaxy 1, my favorite Mario game. My favorite 3D Mario game of all time. Then we'll follow Galaxy 2, and then Odyssey, and then 64. Again, I need to do a revisit with all of these games. Maybe basically experience everything with you guys, and then basically see if I have a change of heart with like any of these. But for now, I think this is how I'm going to leave it. And then last but not least, Bowser's Fury. I'm going to be very short about this one because just as how short my words are going to be, the short the game is. Because that's the thing. This is very, very short. In 2 hours, you beat the game. In an extra 2, or even less, you fully 100% it. That's it. It's very short and also very easy. Though again, that doesn't mean that it's bad. Like, I love the collecting that you can do. That kind of open world that it has. The music is awesome. The exploration is also very good. Fury Bowser is one of the coolest designs in the whole series. The freaking bosses that you have with Fury Bowser and like even his final form are bangers. We don't talk about Boom Boom because, well, oh my gosh, it's freaking Boom Boom. But yeah, the amount of missions that you got is very good. Power-ups you have is very awesome. The variety of the missions is great. The alliance you got with Bowser Jr. is good. You know, the first time ever that you team up with Bowser Jr. of all the characters. And the game is still a fun experience. Again, very short that feels like a demo, and again, like people say, it's not a real game, it's just an expansion for the 3D World Remastered. So I'm still going to put you in the B section, but at the top of the B section, because you're still a good experience, even though you should have been a complete separate game. But nevertheless, for now, this is going to be the 3D Mario tier list. Version 1, there might be a version 2 if I do a revisit of the 3D Mario games, and then I come back and see if my perspective has changed. But for now, it stays like this. Galaxy 1, Galaxy 2, Mario Odyssey, and Mario 64 in the S tier, Sunshine and 3D World in the A tier, and the Bowser's Fury, 64 DS, and 3D Land stay in the B tier. There are no C's, no D's, and no F's, because none of them are bad games to me. Again, whether you agree or disagree, I really hope that this is, I hope I did my best on creating a respectable tier list, because that's what all matters in the end, that we respect each other with, basically being calm, all chill, or relaxing. Basically have some cozy conversations, both in the comments and the Discord server. And again, like I said, I don't think any of the 3D Mario games are bad. If anything, I vibe with all of them. Like, I feel like I need to give 3D Land another shot. With time, people change their opinions, and mine could be no exception. Because once I go back to a revisit and whatsoever, maybe eventually I can basically change mine. But for now, this is going to stay this way. But hey, what about you? Which one is your favorite 3D Mario game, and which one you think is your least favorite one? Let me know down in the comments below, and I'll be reading you down below. That's it for today's video. Thank you all for coming and watching. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's episode of Ranking with Mr. Eduardo. If you guys enjoyed and want to see more content like this, then I would really appreciate it if you leave a like and consider subscribing for more content like this. There's more content, Zelda variety, and also Sonic variety here. So there's lots of things to basically go on about. And again, if you're not in yet, join the Discord server to join the banger community that we're slowly building up little by little. That's it for me. Stay hydrated, gamers, and I will see you in the next one.